Hi, I'm Anastasia, and welcome to my little spot on Ageless Knowledge. I'm going to be doing Chakra Reader, and that's who I am, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I just want to say I haven't really done anything like this before, so you're going to have to be a little bit gentle with me, and we'll kind of go through this together, if that's okay. So I want to have my show on chakras, how they affect us, what they are, what we do with them, what we don't do with them, how they're important to us, and how, I guess I want to say, how we move through the world with them. That's the biggest thing. How it's impacted my life, what's going on with you. I'd like to make it as interactive as I could. So, any questions, anything like that, I welcome them and I look forward to them. So we're going to start. And I wanted to kind of start at the root chakra or the base chakra because, you either start at the bottom or the top. And I thought we'd start at the bottom and move to the top, I guess is what I was thinking. But before I get into that, I guess you want to know a little bit about me. My name is Anastasia. I live in Nova Scotia, Canada, and it's currently raining like crazy. Um, I have 3 kids and I'm an animal lover, and so I'd really like to focus on children and animals throughout this. Just really everything that kind of makes our lives up, and how, I guess I want to say, the knowledge and the understanding of ourselves can be brought about to improve our lives and the lives around us. If we know how we work, if we know how we operate, if we understand ourselves more, our lives become better. It's to me it's that simple, but it gets really complex, and I'll do my best to describe it. So, okay, so we're going to start on the root chakra. So what is it? Where is it? Well, first, what's a chakra? A chakra is basically a spinning wheel. We have 7 main chakras in our body, but we also have some minor chakras and like some really minor chakras. But there are 7 main ones. And I guess I'm going to say, run up the spinal column, and they give and receive energy on a daily, minute by second by second. It's always energy. Everything is made up of energy. So if you're new to energy, that's probably a little bit of a new concept to you. If you're not new to energy, you already get it. The root chakra. Okay, so it sits at the base of the spine. Really, it sits, I guess I'm going to say, it's actually between your anus and your genitals. Not to be graphic, but that's exactly where it sits. Okay, and there's a back and a front to it, so it's constantly giving and receiving energy. It's a wheel, and it spins. If it's spinning too fast, it can be a problem. If it's spinning too slow, it can be a problem. If it's blocked, it can be a problem. The idea is to be always in balance with all of our chakras. Our root chakra is responsible for a physical and an emotional attribute, let's say. So our physical on the root chakra is our blood and our bones, like our skeletal structure and our blood, and not how it's pumping through, that's more to do with the heart chakra, but like our blood itself, what's it comprised of, are we toxic, that kind of thing. It's all of those things. On an emotional side, that's where it gets a little more complex, okay? So on the emotional side, we look at what the root chakra is responsible for. We're going to look at where it first develops, which is it's developed between ages 1 and 8. So you're talking about like some basic needs, okay? So we're looking at survival, support. Are we fed? Do we have food, shelter? Or do we have the basics in life? And then also, kind of encompassing out from that, do we have support in life? Do we feel supported? Do we feel like we can stand on our own 2 feet? It's our grounding in life. Our root chakra needs to be connected to the earth. We can look at it like, where do we have like both feet on the ground, or do we not feel like we're supported? Do we not feel like we have firm ground to stand on? All of those things are sort of like on the emotional aspects of the root chakra. So then we can extrapolate that out. Do we feel supported in our community? Do we feel supported in our family? Root chakra is very encompassing of family. It's very encompassing of where we come from. Like, it's almost, if you want to say, tribal in essence. Do we feel like we belong to a tribe? Do we feel like we belong in our community? And extrapolate it out, because everything that happens on the individual level, of course, extrapolates out to the bigger other levels. And I know I'm talking really fast because when I get a little nervous, I talk fast, so I apologize. Hopefully I'll slow down and I'm not going too fast for everyone. Okay, so that's basically, I want to say, the nuts and bolts of the root chakra, in the sense of like A, B, C, D, E. It gets more encompassing, okay? It gets a lot more encompassing because we start looking at how we interact that with the world. You know, did we feel supported and loved growing up? And then how do we move that into our own family? There, like, it's very encompassing. So this is where I'm going to want to say, ask me questions. Ask me questions about how this affects your life and how you can use root chakra energy and how to balance it. I think one of the biggest ways to balance root chakra energy is getting your feet on the ground. Okay, our earth has amazing magnetic and beautiful rock energies, and it's constantly giving energy off, and it's alive, and we've really insulated ourselves from our earth energy, from our nature energy, which is a very high vibration, a very pure vibration. And we've spent a lot of time insulating ourselves. I mean, we wear shoes, we never get our feet on the grass, we live in houses where we used to live close to the earth. We don't go to the park. We certainly don't take our shoes off at the park. If you're lucky enough to live out in the country or get out on the grass in your yard, it's wonderful. But if you're not, then you need to really get creative about how to get back to that nature balance. That, to me, is the ultimate way to balance the root chakra. Visualization works. There is rocks and crystals and Reiki and so many things. And of course, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're into the healing energies, so you know some of the subtle energies that can work. But by far, when I'm looking at the root chakra, I would say the best way to balance it is nature. Now, if you're like me and you live in Canada, which I do, and the winters get very cold, and if you know me, I'm not much for the cold. I think the biggest thing about like understanding how our root chakra is affected, even just in minuscule amounts by our surroundings, was I had a she is passed now, but I had a Newfoundland dog, and when I first started reading the chakras and when things first started happening with me, she would come in from outside in the wintertime and she would be like completely red because our root chakra is red in color. And I would be like, wow, what's going on with her? And it's like the root chakra fired up to kind of keep that blood flowing and that warmth going through this beautiful creature while she was outside. And then once she came back in, she used a lot of her heart chakra. So as that kind of settled down, I would look at her and I would be like, okay, the red's kind of gone, and now we're back to the heart. We're back to who she is. So when we need our chakras, that's just really indicative of when we need our chakras. They come in and we utilize them. It's innate. It's instinctive. It's not like we have to think, oh, okay, I need to use my root chakra now. I'll just do that. It's not like that. This is something we're already in existence doing. So what we're going to do here on Chakra Reader and Ageless Knowledge is hopefully get to know a lot more about each one. Now, I'm going really fast, but as we go in through each show, I'd like to get really in depth with it. I'm trying to give you a really quick, brief overview of each chakra, and then we're really going to get into some nuts, juice, and all that great stuff. So that's kind of like, I want to say a kind of like an overview of what the root chakra is for, but like, again, encompassing so many things. As we grow, like I said, it's developed between ages 1 and 8, but as we grow, we utilize it in different ways. When we get into like high school and junior high school, we're really trying to feel like we belong. Okay, so our root chakra and our lower chakras are really being utilized at this point in our life. Now, hopefully, when we've come out of that point and we're moving into other aspects of our life, that hopefully by that point we've become a lot more comfortable with who we are and we know where we stand and when we're on solid ground. Now, it can be shaken up at different points in our life. When we have children, for instance, if we're a woman or even if we're a man, our root chakra is shaken because we are then faced with responsibilities of, you know, bringing this beautiful soul up, and it can be overwhelming. So our root chakra really starts to shake, and we really have to ground and be grounded as parents and as individuals to, I want to say, give that on to our child. So when we look at understanding the chakras and what they mean and what they can do for us, knowing the specifics can really, I guess I'm going to say, really bring balance to our life. It can also bring meaning. Like when we understand that when we have a child, we're really working on developing that root chakra, or maybe as they grow, we're working on the sacral chakra when they're teens. It can bring a lot more meaning back into our lives in a world where I'm sure most of you know is void of a lot of meaning. It's a very, you know, fast-paced, void of meaning world, and so many people, so many of us are saying, okay, you know what, I want to get back to me. I want to get back to what counts. I want to get to my soul. I want to find all of this within me and express it to the world. So the root chakra is really the first place where we want to start that. The root chakra is also really great for manifesting. Now, manifesting is everything from, I'm going out to the kitchen to make supper, to I need to make a living, to I need to create in this world and bring it forth. It's not the creative energy, but it is the energy in which we move through the world and bring it forth and produce it into the world. That root chakra energy is huge for that. So that's where you want to go with the root chakra. So that's like a basic overview. Now, I did ask some friends, and I had put out on Facebook that I was really looking for some questions about the chakras themselves. Like I said, this is just like my first time, and I need you to be gentle with me, but I will start answering some of those questions. Now, some of the questions came in specifically on the chakras, and some came in on some other things. So I'm going to really try my best here to put forth what I think, okay? And I got to read from paper because I'm not great on notes, but I got to read what their questions was. Okay, so the first one I'm going to address is Fred, and he wanted to know, because we hear a lot of talk about auras, and what is the difference between an aura and a chakra? That's a really good question because they are interrelated, although they are very different. Our chakras sit inside our bodies, and they're spinning wheels, and they're all really connected. So our root chakra connects to our sacral chakra, connects to our solar plexus, and so on and so on and so on. And they come up and they give and receive energy. Okay, so you're giving and receiving energy out of these chakras. They are not your aura. Your aura is it's like electromagnetic field that is around your body. That also tells you things about what's going on inside. But the way that I see it, or at least I guess when I'm looking at it psychically, I feel that the chakras kind of come up and envelop outside of us to bring through into that aura. It's like it emanates. So you can tell things from both the chakras and the auras. They're different, but they are interrelated. So Fred, I hope that helped. Now, the next one I have is I'm just going to call her Miss M. She wanted to know how I'm able to read the chakras and how do I know which one is which? Again, another really good question. And when I first started, and I didn't really go over it, but I'll kind of just give you a brief overview. I think I've been intuitive my whole life, but when I had my last daughter, Grace, I had a near-death experience, and my whole life changed spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I don't think that there's been an aspect of my life that this hasn't really touched. In a positive way, in a challenging way, but in a positive way. So when you have that near-death experience, you kind of come back different. And for me, it was like opening up that psychic ability. So that's sort of where it starts. I read them psychically. But how do I read them? Well, it's kind of like this. If I were to ask you right now to picture your car, or picture your workspace, or picture your kitchen, or picture anywhere where you aren't currently, in your mind's eye, you get a picture. You get that picture pretty vividly. I mean, you could even picture it down to, oh, there's a glass on my kitchen counter, or I left the pot on the stove, and you picture it in your mind. Well, when I picture the chakras, I guess I picture them on that level, on that intuitive level. But in conjunction with that, it's like a feeling or a sense. It's like I can feel when someone is off, and then it's like I go into it and the energy comes at me. Now, chakras are colors. So that's the first thing I see is the color. And then I kind of go into that energy and I kind of feel that to see if it's completely clear, if it's cloudy, and just what my intuition brings to me. And I sometimes hear my guides, that kind of thing. So it's fully encompassing of many things, but it starts with really that mind's eye. And it's a psychic ability. I think we're all psychic. I really do. And I have a friend, her name is Renee. So Renee, if you're watching this one's yours. And she says, we all are psychic. We have either an antenna or a satellite. And, we just work on it from that point. And I really think that's true. I think we're all psychic. We all can tune in. Some of us, have that ability to tune in better. And some of us work on that ability to tune in better. But I think it's a part of all of us that we need to use more. So I hope that helped. Okay, and the next question I have is, when I read the root chakra, how do I know that it's not working right or messed up is what she says, and how do I help someone fix that? And this is from Louise. Okay, and I guess like I was saying before about the colors and whatnot. So if I'm going into someone that's definitely, say, maybe has arthritis, okay, I'll use that as an example. If I'm going into someone with the root chakra, that their root chakra doesn't appear to me as like bright red, and sometimes depending on the severity of the degree, it'll come into like gray. Now arthritis usually doesn't come in any darker than that, but my guides will show me like it feels like it's in the bones, or my bones will start to hurt, or I'll feel something in them, like because I'm very empathic, so I almost take it on and feel it, so I can feel it in my own body, and then translate that through to in the reading. So that's kind of how I do it. Now, how did I learn to do it? Like, okay, so this happened to me with Grace, and I woke up and, okay, I'm psychic. Okay, well, it wasn't really that simple. I woke up and I knew I felt differently. Not just everything I had been through, but I knew there was something different. And not only the experience that I had, which was in itself awakening, but I felt different when I woke up. I was very consumed at the time with getting better and being well because I had this new baby to take care of. But at the same time, every person that I came in contact with felt different to me. Everything felt different. And I didn't quite know even how to put it into words. And it was actually quite some time later of feeling different that I kind of correlated everything, that I was able to say, okay, this is what I think I'm feeling and this is what I think I'm doing. Now, I didn't really have a lot to base it on, but I had some very spiritual friends, and I had some guidance, but most of it I kind of learned on my own. I kind of went, okay, well, what do I feel? What does this feel like? How does this look? Now, this is 12 years later, and I'm just like everybody else. I'm still in a process of learning. I think, I feel, I see, I get visions. I talk to my guides, and I'm still in a process of evolving and learning, and I always will be, and I hope that never stops for me, but I don't think it will because I have a lot to learn. But that's sort of how I see them. That's how I kind of learned about them, and I'm going to continue. I don't think my gifts stopped at chakras. They continued on to animal totems and, like I said, my guides and angels and spirits. And they're continuing to grow. And I think, like everyone, we're all opening up to bigger and brighter levels. And I just really hope that, especially here, that we can kind of use this as a forum to go back and forth, to learn together, to grow together, and to kind of learn, I want to say, the next step in all of our lives. Okay, so my next question is from a lady by the name of Janie. Hi, Janie. And I thought it's not specifically on the chakras, but when she sent it to me, I thought it was extremely brilliant as a question. And it is part and parcel of what I would like to kind of cover here on Chakra Reader, because our chakras to me are keys to ourself, and our self is keys to our soul, and our soul is, keys to the universe and beyond. So I'm going to read the question, and it has a lot of meaning. And I don't even know that I'm qualified to answer. I read it and I thought about it and I prayed about it and I meditated over it. And I don't even know if I'm qualified to answer, but I'm going to give the best answer that I feel. And I think it's brilliantly said what she asked me. And the fact that she's asking tells me that she's already there. But I'm going to read the question, and I hope you all get something from it. It says, how do we find our way back to our soul, our source, our purpose, when we have spent so many years living in ego, confirming to whom we believed we were, and the expectations that have been placed on us? How do we stop using manipulation, even when we're not aware of it, because it's such a habit? How do we begin to uncover these layers and find our way back to the soul that agreed to come here? An example of what I'm saying, and it would be different for each person, is I'm such a people pleaser, and there are many times when I thought I was walking in love, but really wanted approval, so that's not love. How do we find our way back to who we truly are? That, like, honestly, that is probably one of the most brilliant questions I think I've ever heard, and that's why I said I don't know that I'm really qualified to answer that, because it's a journey. It's definitely a journey, and I don't think, we're all at different places in the journey, and what you're learning today, I'll learn tomorrow, and what I learned yesterday, you'll learn tomorrow. It is definitely a journey. The ego part, that's a tough one, because when I've looked at it, I think our ego gets way out of control and in the way of our life, and definitely in the way of our soul. And we need to kind of keep a tap on that. But at the same time, I think when we're here, we need our ego to a degree. So it's really about balance. And I think as a woman, and I really want to address this about people pleasing, because I think as a woman, and I think there are men that do it too, we get so outside of our soul and ourselves that we derive our sense of self and our sense of worth by others, by someone saying, hey, thank you, or hey, great job. And those things feel really, really good to us. So it's really easy to get caught in that people pleasing mode. And what we have to do, and it's not about not helping someone or not, or whatnot, but it's about going into our soul and saying, okay, but who am I and why am I here? The mere fact that we're asking that question means we're going to get an answer. I truly believe that. When we ask our soul that question, we're going to get an answer. And it's not going to come in the form of, bam, here's your answer. Here's all the reasons you're here, and here's everything you need to do. It would be really simple if that were the case, but it would really take the challenge and the learning process out of being here on earth and being incarnated in this human form and having all of the limitations and all of the experiences and beauty that comes with it. So to me, it's a journey, and it doesn't, I don't know if I'm making sense, but it doesn't stop, but it comes in little bit by bit at a time. It's like maybe today your journey to your soul is just to connect with earth and let that fire ignite you. And then maybe tomorrow it's to connect to your neighbor. And maybe the next day it's to share what you've learned. And I know this woman has had a tremendous learning ability, and she is full of grace, and maybe it's just to pass that grace on to someone else. I think our journeys are really individual, and then they become collective. I think the mere fact that you ask, how do I get into my soul, means you're already on the road. I don't think it stops. I think our soul is so infinite, and I don't think it stops with just, I found a part of it or a piece of it, or I touched my soul today. It continues on from there. Like I said, I don't know if I'm qualified to answer it, but I think that's the start of it. And if it's okay with you, Janie, I want to kind of keep addressing this, because it's not, to me, a question that can be answered with mere simple words in a few sentences. It's like I said, it's one of the most brilliant questions I've ever had the opportunity to answer, and thank you for sending it to me, because I really, really, truly appreciate it. So I'm going to end on the root chakra today, and I hope I haven't given you too much information or too much overload. But any questions you have, please send them on. They don't have to be specific on each chakra, but I'd really like to hear them. I'd also like, if you could, any questions on your animals or kids or anything to do with bringing balance to your life, or, you know, just a life question if you want, that I'd be happy to answer it and help you in any way. I'd really like to make this interactive, and as I get used to more technology, there may be a way to make it very interactive, and I'd love to do that. But I thank you for your time today, and I hope you've enjoyed what I brought you. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yeah, you can always reach me at, I need to tell you where to reach me. You can inbox me any questions at, what is it? It's Chakra Reader at chakrareader23@gmail.com. You can inbox me. I have a website. It's anastasiachristine.com, and I think you can inbox me through there. And just like I said, any questions or anything like that. I really do want to make this as interactive as I can. I really want to address, like, I have a really, I'm an animal communicator, so anything on animals would be great. They all have chakras, and the beauty of animals is they don't have as much ego as us. They have some, but they don't have as much ego as us. So, you know, reading and working with their chakras is so much easier than ours. And I think that's it for now. So I hope that you've enjoyed this part, and I hope you tune in next time. And we're going to look at the sacral chakra, which is kind of like it's sort of like my little place, because I use a lot of sacral chakra energy. It's all about passion and you know, how we move through the world with passion. It's also about sensitivity and other things too. But I hope you join me the next show and the next one, and I hope we can build a great relationship. Thanks for watching.